Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Red, White, and Bills here. Back with Volume 2 of the new segment, Him or Jim. Last week, there was a few Hims, a few Jims. Will the same ones appear this week again? We shall see. Drop yours down in the comments below. Also, like the show. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy. And again, I'm really curious to hear about your Hims and your Jims of the week. A couple of them I expected again. And a couple of them were very nice surprises. So let's talk about it. Let's get into it. I think this time we'll start with hymns. Hymns of the week. Let me bring it up. Alrighty. The first one, he's on it again, back-to-back weeks. Mr. Ed Oliver. Man, what a brute force in the middle. 6 tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble. He also recovered that same fumble. 2 pressures, 1 quarterback hit. I'm going to have to rewatch because I feel like he had more than 2 pressures, but according to PFF, he had 2 pressures. But complete disruptor of the game. He was all over the place, wreaking havoc across the whole entire defensive line in the backfield. 2 tackles for loss as well. I mean, the last 3 or 4 weeks, he's really picked up his play again. He's played phenomenal all season beyond the stat sheet, but he started showing up on the stat sheet the last 4 weeks. And, you know, he's going to be a guy we truly need going into next week without Von Miller. And who knows how long we'll be without him for. But Ed Oliver, man, he's playing his way to a contract, baby. So he's a guy we definitely got to sign for sure. Number 2, a familiar face to the Buffalo Bills, Mr. A.J. Klein. Somewhat of a fan favorite. A lot of people don't like him, but I was a big supporter of A.J. Klein. He came in. He's on his 3rd team of the year, and he didn't play last week, but he came in this week, calling the defense, leading the defense when you thought maybe Milano would be doing that. But A.J. Klein is the leader of this team and this defense of this game. So I give a lot of credit for that because, again, he's been on the Bills before, but he came in and really embraced the role of you got to be the leader today. And, you know, he was a good leader. 9 tackles. He gave up 4 receptions in coverage out of 4, but he didn't get burned at all, and only one of them was a big gain. So, you know, obviously not as good as Tremaine in coverage, but he made a lot of key tackles, and he played a phenomenal game. 9 tackles. Second on the team. And he's a familiar face, but not to him or Jim. Isaiah McKenzie. And I say him or Jim like I've done this every week, but if I wanted to do it every week, he wouldn't be a familiar face on the him side. 6 receptions, 96 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 rushes for 7 yards. And we mentioned it in our post-game show yesterday with Nickel City Mafia and Go Bills podcast. When all seemed lost on the offense, Diggs was dropping passes, Knox wasn't getting open, you know, Davis was being Davis. McKenzie stepped up when we needed him most, and we really needed a guy to come through on key 3rd downs and just get open on man coverage. McKenzie did just that. Again, Diggs heated up in the end of the game when it mattered the most, of course, but we needed someone early to step up, and Isaiah McKenzie did that for us, and, you know, solid game for him. Another big boy, Daquan Jones, another D tackle with 6 tackles, 1 sack. I mean, man, him and Ed Oliver together, basically all the D tackles, Tim Settle and Jordan Phillips, they get an honorable mention, but they really went crazy last week. Well, not last week, last night. No, 2 nights ago. My dates are all messed up this week, but Thanksgiving Day, Ed Oliver, Daquan Jones went off. They really disrupted the middle of that offensive line, gave him fits all game, and, you know, the stats show. And they did a lot of help for these defensive ends, especially missing Von Miller and Rousseau and AJ Epinesa. They really helped out in making this D-line perform pretty well. Last but not least, another guy who made it twice in a row, Motor Singletary, man. 14 for 72, 5.1 yards a carry, man. I mean, I've been saying it for years or months on this show, at least years before I started the podcast, but you give him more than single-digit carries. He's going to perform. And he's been since the KC game, he's been over 60 yards, 70 yards every game. That's what you need to see from him. And that's what we're getting from him. Continue to feed him. So, Devin Singletary, man, I hope this isn't his last year with us, but he's been absolutely phenomenal since the Kansas City game. And it's time for Jimothy's. Did the Himothy's. Now it's time for the Jimothy's. Number one, a guy I predicted. I was asked to predict, and he was one of my guesses. Dane Jackson. I see a lot of people saying, like, well, there's a 7th-round pick. It's kind of unfair to put him in that CB1 role and like expect a lot from him. He's technically been the cornerback one since over a year now. So he played phenomenal in the first 6 games as a CB1. And all of a sudden, because he's been underperforming for the last 3 weeks, we have to say it's too harsh to give him criticism. No, he needs the criticism. He's a 7th-round pick, but now he's an NFL player. It doesn't matter what pick he was now. He's a proven starter, and he's been playing absolutely abysmal for the last 3 weeks, maybe even 4. So I do not give him a pass. He's been in that role for a while now. He's been a starter for a whole year straight. This is his first year as an actual starter, but nonetheless, you expect better from him. And we're going to need to expect better from him because, again, Trey White's on a snap count as of right now. We don't know what's going to be up. And then when Trey White is back, he doesn't travel because we play zone most of the time. So they're just going to throw this number 2 receiver on White, not throw their way, and then put their number 1 on Dane Jackson, even though he's cornerback too. So regardless, Dane Jackson needs to step up his game. He gave up 6 receptions on 9 targets for 76 yards and a touchdown. That's our best corner. So, man, Dane Jackson, I want you to get off this gym list this week against the New England Patriots. You have a good matchup. They're all mid-tier receivers. You should have a good game. So we'll see. And another guy who I'm just tired of. I'm insanely tired of Spencer Brown. He's got to be benched. He's been abysmal the entire year. He's been terrible, awful, any word you could think of. He's been that. He maybe had one good game this whole year, and it wasn't even a good game all around. It was just in one aspect of the game in run blocking. But even his run blocking has been awful. He's in the 50s according to PFF, and according to the eye test. I will say that last play where Josh got the yards to get into field goal range, he had a key block that sealed it off for Josh to get the yards. So he does get credit for that. But overall, I mean, 1 sack, 1 quarterback hit, 4 hurries, 6 pressures, 31 pass blocking grade. You're in a passing offense. So this is unacceptable. And this is a continuous thing almost week in and week out. Similar statistics, similar pass blocking grade. This is not good. And you can't get much worse than this. So why don't we, especially if Dawkins might be out this week, why not give Justin Murray a chance? Put him at right or left tackle. You brought him in for a reason. Bobby Hart maybe earned some playing time. Nothing can be worse than what Spencer Brown's been putting out. And if somebody wants to fight me on that, I'll be more than happy to. But there's literally nothing worse you can put out there than Spencer Brown. So give someone else a chance, see what happens. And then if it ends up being worse by some stretch of the imagination, then you can put him back in. But you see people get benched all over the league for poor performance. Why are we special? Why don't we bench people for poor performance? You take Motor out of the game when he fumbles once, but when Brown gets Josh killed 4 times a game, what are you gonna? You just leave him in? Oh, he's fine. No, bench him. See what happens. Now Dawson Knox, I'm gonna say Dawson Knox. He was 2 for 2 for 17, but when we watched the All-22 later today, I feel like most of it was just him not getting open. Part of it is Josh not throwing him the ball, but we pay him top 6 tight end money, and he's got 30 catches on the year for 300 yards. Like, that's not acceptable. And part of it's Josh not throwing him the ball, but I feel like this game's in particular, he wasn't getting open. So that's why I got him on the gym list. He's technically not a gym for me. I think he's a great player, but this game, I feel like we needed him to get open, and he didn't, and that's why he's a gym. And then last but not least, another guy who's been on the gym list last week, Ken Dorsey. I mean, we're bottom 3 red zone. We have Josh, we have Isaiah McKenzie, and we have Naheem Hines. And we don't use that speed at all in the red zone. Like, this this is getting ridiculous. It's so predictable. The RPO in the red zone is predictable. Like, use your weapons how they should be used. Nyheim Hines got one touch again. So every game he's played for us, he's got one touch, either a reception, a target, or a run. Utilize this guy. Like, what are you doing? Again, he's going to take lumps. He's already better than Dayball, and Dayball's been a coordinator or a coach for more than 2 decades. Dorsey's his first year play caller, and the offense was already better than the Bills ever had their offense with Dayball. So he's going to take his lumps. He's a young coordinator. I give him time. Again, we saw the offense the first 6 weeks. Nothing was better. So giving him some time, he's going to take lumps, but you got to get these guys involved, especially in the red zone. Give Hines a carry. Do a weird double end around where you hand it off to McKenzie, and then then he passes it off to Hines, and then Hines runs, and it's all confusion everywhere. Do things like that. Get these guys involved in space and see what happens. Use Josh's legs once in a while in the red zone, and we'll see more points than what we have been putting out. Like I said, I think we're 29th in red zone offense, and this is getting ridiculous. But that's the Him or Jim segments for this week, and getting into closing thoughts. Should I predict possible Hims and Jims for this coming week? I'm going to give one possible him and one possible Jim just to make it easy. For a him, I'm going to say Dawson Knox. I think he's going to come through next week. And then for a Jim, it's so easy to say Spencer Brown and Dane Jackson because they're always this pitiful. But I'm going to say Ryan Bates. I'm going to say Ryan Bates as a Jim. But again, I want to see no Jims. I want to see more Hims and Jims. And it could be flipped. Ed Oliver could be a Jim next week. We don't know that. But, I mean, that's just my guess right now. Ryan Bates is a Jim and Dawson Knox is a him. Drop your Hims and Jims for this week. And then if you want to guess for next week, you can do that as well. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this new segment. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And until next time, go Bills.